Good morning, everyone, from Ford City, Pennsylvania. This is Chuck King on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021, bringing you a morning Bible study. And we've been covering lessons in Proverbs, and we're all the way to Proverbs 27, verse 1 this morning. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. It's so true, as Jesus taught us, that today is the day we should focus on. Just be concerned about today. Tomorrow will take care of itself. We can't say we can do anything tomorrow. We don't even know how long we will live, if we will survive till tomorrow. But we trust in the Lord. Verse 2, let another praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. So we are commanded not to promote ourselves. Others should do that. We need to remain humble and walking in the grace of God. The only reason we can do anything right is because of the grace of God. No reason to brag about that when God is our strength and our power. Verse 3, a stone is heavy and the sand weighty, but the provocation of a fool is heavier than both of them. So comparing a fool's provocative behavior to that of a heavy stone or weighty sand, it's a burden that is difficult to bear. Verse 4, wrath is fierce and anger is a flood, but who can stand before jealousy? So true. When people are angry, it can be fierce and like a flood, but jealousy is something even worse. Verse 5, better is open rebuke than love that is concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. This is very important. Wisdom and knowledge from the Lord that it's better to be openly rebuked than for someone to withhold that from you when you need it. And friends are faithful when they correct us, when they hold us accountable. But an enemy will be deceitful with us. So love means to demonstrate open rebuke when necessary and to be faithful to hold our friends accountable. Verse 7, a sated man loathes honey, but to a famished man any bitter thing is sweet. When you have eaten too much and you don't want anything else to eat, even sweets are not attractive to you. But a person who is very hungry, famished, according to this, will eat almost anything. Verse 8, like a bird that wanders from her nest, so is a man who wanders from his home. The security of the nest is the bird's sanctuary. But a man who wanders from home is like that bird who wanders from that secure nest. Verse 9, oil and perfume make the heart glad, so a man's counsel is sweet to his friend. So like oil and perfume make us happier, so is a friend's good counsel. Verse 10, do not forsake your friend or your father's friend, and do not go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor who is near than a brother far away. So we need friends, and we need to be faithful to friends. But even family, if we are not close to family, we should trust friends. The scripture says even close friends, even more than family that is far away. And I think everybody has had experience with that, Christian brothers and sisters that end up being more like family than actual blood family. Jesus said that would be true, that those who do the will of God are truly our family. Verse 11, be wise, my son, and make my heart glad, that I may reply to him who reproaches me. We need to walk in wisdom. That is the only way to succeed. It's the only way that we can adequately reply to anyone, or give an answer for the hope that is within us, the New Testament says. We need to be ready to do that. And the only way we can is through the wisdom, knowledge, and fear of the Lord. Verse 12, a prudent man sees evil and hides himself. The naive proceed and pay the penalty. So a wise person avoids running into evil, but a naive or foolish person just plunges forward and ends up paying the price for their foolishness. Verse 13, take his garment when he becomes surety for a stranger. For an adulterous woman, hold him in pledge. This concept of not supporting or promoting someone who takes on a debt for someone else is throughout the Proverbs. That we should not be promising to pay someone else's debt. That puts us in a precarious position, and the scripture speaks against it. Verse 14, he who blesses his friend with a loud voice, early in the morning it will be reckoned a curse to him. So there's something here about making a loud proclamation to your friend that can be like a curse. So it's something I don't quite understand what's being said here, but we know that there is a time when you can be insincere with a loud blessing that will not actually be a blessing, but rather a curse. 15, a constant dripping on a day of steady rain and a contentious woman are alike. He who would restrain her restrains the wind and grasps oil with his right hand. So there's another metaphor about a contentious woman being like steady dripping of rain, or oil that you're trying to hold in your hand, or the wind trying to restrain the wind. So it's an impossible situation. We need to avoid that kind of contentious person. Verse 17, iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. We need to have the accountability between brothers and sisters to sharpen one another like iron sharpens iron. We can improve each other's walk by helping each other, holding each other accountable, correcting one another. Verse 18, he who tends the fig tree will eat its fruit, and he who cares for his master will be honored. So again, diligence and hard work produces good fruit in our lives. Verse 19, as in water face reflects face, so the heart of man reflects man. So like looking into water and seeing your face, your heart reveals who you are. Jesus clearly taught us that the words that come out of our mouth are the result of what's in our heart, and it's always true. Verse 20, Sheol and Abaddon are never satisfied, nor are the eyes of man ever satisfied. We're talking about death and judgment. Just keep taking more and more people in, because that's the way of life. People live and then they die, and it just goes on and on and on. But that compares that process of increasing numbers of people dying and going to the place of the dead, to the lustful eyes of man. You can never satisfy the lust of the flesh. It just keeps drawing you into greater temptation. And that's what we're talking about here. Verse 21, the crucible is for silver and the furnace for gold, and each is tested by the praise accorded to him. Talking about being refined like silver and gold in the fire, and the actual praise that people speak about you tests you and will either make you proud or make you appreciative and humble. Verse 22, though you pound the fool in a mortar with a pestle along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. So like grinding up grain with a mortar and a pestle, you can try to remove the foolishness from people. But we often say, it's a term that's used, you can't fix stupid. And we've all tried to change people that are foolish in their behavior, and only they can change their behavior by turning to the Lord and applying his wisdom and knowledge. Verse 23, know well the condition of your flocks and pay attention to your herds, for riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure to all generations. We should be good stewards of that which God has given us in our lives to tend to, because these things are fleeting, and we should take care of them while we can. Verse 25, when the grass disappears, the new growth is seen, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in. So a little instruction of wisdom here on the need for new growth. We think that it's a negative thing when we see the grass dry up, but there's always new growth coming on by the grace of God. Verse 26, the lambs will be for your clothing, and the goats will bring the price of a field, and there will be goat's milk enough for your food of your household, and sustenance for your maidens. So the blessing of having these lambs and goats, they're a lot of work and trouble for those who tend them, but they produce a lot, bringing food and clothing for the person who is taking care of them. So that's another word to appreciate what God has given you, and to work hard to continue to provide for yourself and your family and others. So we have these lessons today from Proverbs 27, each verse giving us a little more insight, warnings and instructions. That's the heading on the chapter. And we need to listen to these revelations from Scripture, the wisdom, knowledge, and fear of the Lord, which will keep us from being foolish in our behavior, keep us from disaster. God bless you. We'll study Proverbs 28 tomorrow.